What's up EFD and welcome back to Scout Report. With the Euros underway, we're going to put 3 of the managers contesting this summer's tournament under the microscope. 1 rising star, 1 household name and 1 wildcard, and assess whether they would make a good fit in club management. Let's go. Andrey Shevchenko. Appointed assistant manager of Ukraine in February 2016, Andrey Shevchenko took the top job when Mikhailo Fomenko left that summer following a disastrous Euros campaign, in which his side lost all 3 of their group games and even failed to score. And it wasn't long before he was feeling the pressure himself. The Yellow and Blue failed to qualify for the 2018 World Cup, scoring just 13 goals in 10 games, the same as Estonia. But as doubts grew over the legendary striker's ability to turn the national team's fortunes around, with his lack of managerial experience a point of contention for some, the former Milan man made sweeping changes. Between 2017 and the beginning of 2020, 21 players were given their international debut, as veterans like Yevhen Seleznyov and Oleksandr Kucher were phased out, and younger players like Oleksandr Zinchenko and Ruslan Malinovskiy handed more responsibility. In a similar time period, the team lost just once in 22 games, winning 64% of them, a testament to Shevchenko's ability to transition the side and blood new players while also getting results. Previously a team which played primarily on the counter-attack, Shevchenko has morphed them into a high-energy, possession-based outfit, utilising the technically adept players he has at his disposal. Favouring a 4-3-3 or 4-1-4-1, his side's attacking play revolves around the midfield trident, with one of Taras Stepanenko or Sergei Sidorchuk protecting the back line and feeding Zinchenko and Malinovskiy, both excellent ball progressors whose experience of playing for Manchester City and Atalanta, 2 of Europe's most attacking sides, give them serious pedigree in this system. And perhaps as you'd expect in this system, Shevchenko also uses his fullbacks to overload the attack, with the pace of Vitaly Mykolenko on the left particularly useful. His squad is made up almost entirely of Shakhtar Donetsk and Dynamo Kiev players, not that unusual considering the tendency of most Ukrainian professionals to stay in their home country, but a factor which has nevertheless made it easier for the squad to take on Shevchenko's ideas due to the cohesion that already exists between them. And while he has gained plaudits for playing attractive football, Shevchenko is also tactically flexible. For their recent World Cup qualifiers, he lined them up in a 3-5-2, a system which stifled world champions France, with a side containing Mbappe, Griezmann and Coman held to a 1-1 draw, although stalemates with Kazakhstan and Finland would follow. A sign perhaps that the young coach still has a lot to learn and is also missing a top-class centre-forward, although Roman Yaremchuk's 20-goal tally in the Belgian Pro League this year suggests that he could be used more effectively. Often positioned as a false 9, he scored just 3 times in 12 appearances in the build-up to the Euros, and his 1.4 shots per 90 in last year's Nations League was indicative of this. Nevertheless, Shevchenko's methods have brought a lot of success in the last 3 years. They finished top of their group in qualifying, recording just 0 losses, conceding just 4 times, and beating a strong Portugal side with 10 men. A 1-0 victory over Spain in the Nations League followed in 2020, showcasing the side's ability to soak up pressure when they aren't afforded possession. With fans confident of a first run to the knockouts at a European Championship, and Shevchenko famously devoted to his country, we could see him staying in this job for a while longer. But having proved himself as a man manager and tactician, club football will surely be an option for him in years to come. An eventual return to his beloved Milan would be a great dream to aim for. Luis Enrique. We all know what Luis Enrique is capable of at club level. He led a supercharged Barcelona side to the treble in 2015, winning 9 trophies in his 3 years in charge of the Blaugrana and sustaining a win rate of 76%, better than Pep Guardiola managed at the Camp Nou. This was preceded by an impressive year in charge of Celta Vigo, who he took to 9th in La Liga, and a disappointing spell with Roma, in which they were knocked out of the Europa League in the playoffs by Slovan Bratislava and finished 7th in Serie A with 56 points, their lowest tally in the last 15 years. At Barca, Enrique evolved their style from the possession-heavy positional play perfected under Pep, placing more emphasis on width and pace to get the ball up to the fabled front 3 of Messi, Suarez and Neymar, at times bypassing the midfield 3 which had been integral to the club's build-up play in the past. And he has done something similar with Spain, utilising the young talents of Ferran Torres and Dani Olmo out wide, and to a lesser extent Adama Traore and Mikel Oyarzabal. It also perhaps explains why he's used the versatile Marcos Llorente, a direct and penetrative ball carrier, at right back in Dani Carvajal's absence. But taking over a national side which, following its 3 consecutive major tournament victories between 2008 and 2012, is always expected to win, and yet has failed to make it past the last 16 at the 3 tournaments since, was never going to be easy. And this Spain team is very much still in transition. And while his first spell in charge was pretty solid, with the side winning 8 of 10 games, including a 6-0 drubbing of Croatia just months after they'd reached the World Cup final, results have not been consistent since he returned to the fold at the end of 2019. Since then, La Roca have won just 6 in 13, a run which featured a higher concentration of top opponents, but also included a loss to Ukraine, draws with Switzerland and Greece, and an unconvincing win over Georgia. Their 6-0 thrashing of Germany was a reminder of just how ruthless they can be, limiting a side containing Werner, Sane, Gnabry and Gundogan to just 2 shots and 30% possession. But these kind of performances haven't been the norm. And following his unpopular decision to name just 24 players in his Euro squad, and with no one from Real Madrid among them, another disappointing tournament would likely see Enrique lose his job. But if that were to happen, it would potentially be a good time for it. Arsenal continue to underachieve under Mikel Arteta, and Enrique was touted as a potential successor to Arsene Wenger back in 2018. Meanwhile, a return to Italy could even be an option, even if after a summer of change at the top clubs means a job probably wouldn't become available until next summer. And then of course there is Barcelona. Enrique has previously expressed an interest in returning to the Camp Nou one day, and while Xavi is the bookies' favourite to take over from Ronald Koeman when the time comes, nothing is certain in Catalonia these days. Vladimir Petkovic. We finish off with our wildcard entry. Vladimir Petkovic has been managing Switzerland since 2014, leading them to the knockout stage in both major tournaments he has contested, and finishing 4th in the 2019 Nations League. And yet his side weren't given much attention in the build-up to Euro 2020, and drawn in a group with highly promising Italy and Turkey sides, progress in this summer's competition is far from straightforward. Petkovic has had an interesting managerial career. After retiring as a player in the late 90s, he coached a number of sides in the Swiss football pyramid, and was hired by Young Boys in 2008 after getting Minnows Bellinzona promoted to the top flight and leading them to the Swiss Cup final. The 85 league goals scored by the Bern side in his first season in charge wouldn't be beaten for another 10 years, with Petkovic implementing a highly effective 3-4-3 system which saw them consistently dominate opponents and narrowly miss out on a first Super League title in over 20 years for 2 consecutive seasons. He won 60% of his games in charge, an average that title-winning Adi Hutter narrowly fell short of years later, and even recorded victories over the likes of Tottenham and Zenit St. Petersburg in Europe. He also helped launch the career of Ivorian forward Seydou Doumbia, who scored 50 goals in 64 league appearances in his 2 seasons under Petkovic. The Sarajevo-born coach then had a rather less successful spell in charge of Turkish outfit Samsunspor before moving on to manage Lazio, with whom he won the Coppa Italia in 2013. Beating Antonio Conte's Juventus in the semis and arch-rivals Roma in the final at the Stadio Olimpico. Having become more tactically flexible in his final season at Young Boys and in Serie A, often switching between a 3 at the back and 4-1-4-1 system, Petkovic stuck fairly rigidly to a 4-2-3-1 after taking over Switzerland in 2014. He then switched to a 3-4-3 shape not too dissimilar from the one which brought him so much success with Young Boys shortly after the 2018 World Cup, and since 2019 has favoured a 3-4-1-2, with Xherdan Shaqiri occupying the whole. He likes his teams to have plenty of the ball and recycle possession, something which is helped by having captain Granit Xhaka, Djibril Sow, Denis Zakaria and Remo Freuler to choose from in midfield. Having had a strong qualifying campaign in which they finished ahead of Denmark at the top of their group, the Red Crosses have also held Germany and Spain to draws in the last 12 months, and are a tough side to break down, especially when Petkovic's preferred back 3 of Akanji, Elvedi and Cher are fit and on form. The hope of some fans of a quarter-final, something they haven't achieved at a major tournament since hosting the World Cup in 1954, are certainly punchy. But should they fail to make it there, Petkovic may well feel he's taken them as far as he can, although the prospect of qualifying them for a second consecutive World Cup is no doubt tempting. Should he step down, a return to Serie A or perhaps even a hop over to the Bundesliga, where a number of his acolytes ply their trade, would potentially suit him. So that was our scout report on 3 of our favourite managers at this summer's Euros, but what did you make of it, and could you see any of them transitioning into the club game after this tournament? Let us know in the comments below. If you enjoyed this video, don't forget to leave it a like, and of course subscribe to Euro Football Daily if you haven't done so already. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you next time.